You're welcome to another episode in our business owner mindset on weekend learning with Transaid. I hope you enjoy episode 1, building something that lasts. And more importantly, I hope you took some steps based on what you learned from episode 1. So today we are going into episode 2 straight away, leading with clarity. Leading with clarity. Now, I want you to know that every business owner makes bad decisions. But that is not the problem. The problem is when bad decisions becomes a pattern because you are making them without enough information, without a clear framework, or under pressure that should not be the driving choice. Remember Chidi from last week episode? Chidi, now 2 years into his consulting business, had a recurring problem. He kept saying yes to clients who paid late, undervalued his work, and took up disproportionate time and energy related to what they paid. He knew these were not good clients, but every time one appeared with a project, he found a reason to say yes. Oh, the month is lean. He did not want to seem difficult. He thought it might lead to something better. 6 months in a row, his most exhausting clients were his lowest paying ones. Now, Chidi was not making bad decisions because he was careless. He was making them because he had no clear criteria for what a good client looked like. So every decision was made fresh, under pressure, with no anchor. As a business owner, I want you to know that clarity is not a personality trait. It's a decision-making system, and you can build one regardless of the size of your business. Also, regardless of how long your business has been in existence. So I want us to look at what clarity actually means in a business context. When people talk about clarity in business, they usually mean vision and mission statements. That is not what this episode is about. Clarity here means knowing in advance the answers to the questions you will face repeatedly as a business owner. What kind of work do you take? What do you decline? At what price point does an engagement become worth your time? What behavior from a client is unacceptable? How do you handle a situation where a client wants to renegotiate a price after you have already agreed? If you have to think hard about these questions every time they come up, you are burning mental energy on decisions that could be made once and written down as a policy. A business with clarity does not mean a rigid business. It means a business where the owner is not reinventing the wheel every time a familiar situation appears. A business with clarity does not mean a rigid business. It means a business where the owner is not reinventing the wheel every time a familiar situation appears. So I want you to reflect now. Think about a decision you made in your business in the last 3 months that you are still not fully satisfied with. Was it a new kind of problem you had never faced before? Or was it a familiar type of situations where you ended up going back and forth before deciding? Most business owners who sit with this question discover that most of their worst decisions were not made in new situations, rather. They were made in familiar ones where they had no pre-agreed position, and they were therefore vulnerable to pressure, sentiment, or short-term financial anxiety. So let's look at 3 decisions that will shape everything else with regards to clarity in your business. In a service business rather, 3 decisions drive almost everything else. Number 1, who you work with. Your ideal client is not simply anyone who can pay you. It is a specific kind of organization or individual where your skills produce the best outcome. The relationship works well and the economics make sense. So define this, write it down. So when a prospect does not match it, decline early rather than discovering the mismatch after you have started. Decision number 2, what you charge and how. Pricing is a clarity issue, not just a financial one. If your prices shift depending on who is asking, you create inconsistency that will erode trust and create sentiment when different clients compare notes. So set your rate. Know the minimum below which you will not go. Know the circumstances, if any, under which you will negotiate. Decision number 3, what you will not do. This is the most underrated clarity decision. Knowing what you do not do and being able to say it clearly is one of the most credible things a business owner can communicate. For example, this is not an area we work in. Here is who I would recommend. Is a sentence that builds reputation faster than most marketing. 3 decisions that shapes everything else. So let's look at how to make better decisions under pressure. 2 practices that significantly improve decision quality when you are under pressure. Number 1, write your criteria before the pressure arrives. The time to decide what kind of client you take is not when a problematic client is on the phone with a project. The time to decide is a quiet time when nothing urgent is happening. Write down the 3 or 4 characteristics of your best client. Write down the 2 or 3 signals that tell you an engagement will be difficult. Refer to this when a new opportunity appears. Rule number 2, give yourself a minimum of 24 hours on any significant decision. Most business decisions that feel urgent are not. A client who needs your answer today for a proposal you received this morning is creating artificial urgency. That urgency often disappears if you do not respond to it immediately. When someone pressures you to decide quickly, that is usually a reason to slow down, not to speed up. So let's look at what Chidi did to solve his problem. After 6 months run of difficult, low-paying clients, Chidi wrote down his client criteria for the first time. He wrote down, good clients pay within 30 days. Good client had a clear decision maker he could speak to directly. Good clients could describe what a successful outcome looked like before the work began. Good client had used a consultant before and understood what that relationship involved. He also wrote down his warning signals. A client who wanted to negotiate immediately after seeing the proposal price. A client who could not clearly explain why they needed the work. A client who contacted him through a third party and was vague about the actual decision maker. From that month, every new prospect conversation was measured against those two lists. In the following 12 months, he declined 8 engagements that matched his warning signals. 3 of those prospects eventually engaged other consultants. And based on what Chidi heard through his network, all 3 of these engagements were difficult. Chidi did not decline them because he was not hungry for work. He declined them because he had decided in advance that the wrong client was more expensive than no client at all. So let's look at another aspect of leading with clarity: leading your own thinking. One of the most underappreciated parts of running a business is that nobody's managing you. In employment, your manager, your organization processes, and your colleagues all provide external structure that shapes your decisions. As a business owner, you lose most of that support. And I want you to know that business owners who thrive are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who build their own structure to compensate for the structure they lost when they left employment, such as weekly planning, monthly financial review, quarterly decision about which services to continue and which to stop, annual reflection on whether the business is moving in the right direction. None of this is complex. None is complex. But they all require discipline to maintain them, even when the business is busy and there's always something more urgent. You still need that discipline. So you need to build the structure before you need it. Urgency is a terrible time to start organizing your thinking. So do your thinking before urgency will arrive. So what are our key takeaways from this episode? Number 1, clarity is not a personality trait. It is a decision-making system that you build as a business owner. Know in advance who you work with, what you charge, and what you will not do. Write your client criteria and warning signals before the pressure of a life opportunity. Give yourself 24 hours on significant decisions. Artificial urgency is often a red flag, not a reason to rush. Build your own management structure. Nobody else will do it for you. So what are the action steps I want you to take this week? This week, write down 3 characteristics of your best clients and 2 warning signals that tell you an engagement will be difficult. Do not overthink this. Use your experience. Think about the best client relationship you had and ask what made it work. Think about the worst and ask what the early signs were. Write it down. Keep it somewhere. You will actually see it always and you use it always when you need it. So I want to thank you very much for your time. Next week, we'll be looking at managing the numbers. The episode most business owners say they will get to eventually and never do until a financial problem forces them. Please share this with other business owners if you think it's worth sharing, but I think it's worth sharing. And also subscribe, because very soon we will just be sending only to subscribe by people who are subscribed. So subscribe, turn off your notification bell so that whenever we release any episode, you will not miss it. See you next week, Friday. Thank you.